Welcome to the I Help Men Stand Out for the Right Reasons podcast. I'm your host, Shlomo Hamnick. I help men with their personal visual branding, essentially a stylist, but using style to say more about who you are and establish a personal visual brand that helps you be recognizable for the right reasons, for real and authentic qualities that you actually embody. And I help you understand how to do that for yourself. In today's episode, this is for anyone who's ever been told that you're too much. If you worry about, if you worry about not standing out, or you worry about, that you're standing out for the wrong reasons. And if you want to stand out without feeling that like fear of rejection, right? You're so scared to stand out and, stand for something because somebody may not like it and they might reject you for it. Putting yourself out there, worry about putting yourself out there. This episode's for you. I'm going to walk through my 3-part framework of tools, subject, and audience. This is the 3-part framework that is the core of my work. There are subcategories, but we're not going to get into them today. We're going to just look very high level at these 3 categories and how they can help you stop fearing the judgment of others, stop fearing rejection, and, actually make practical change in your life. I'm going to be using this through the lens of style and clothing. But this is actually one of those universal truths. It's one of those frameworks that you can actually use in a lot of different areas of life. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So most people start in audience here. I'm actually going to share my screen so that I can write things on a presentation board. Okay. Most people are really concerned with audience. They're concerned with how people see them. That's where I started. I know that that's where a lot of people are. They're stuck in the dark side of audience. Now, there's a light side and a dark side of all 3 of these. So there's a light side and dark side of tools, light side and dark side of subject, and the light side and dark side of audience. But I would say most people are trapped in the dark side of audience, which is worrying about what other people think of you, being worried about rejection, trying to fit in, people pleasing, and really just shoving yourself into a box so that other people will approve of you. You're so worried about what people think of you. Now, this is very relevant for style. You're not wearing what you want. You're not showing who you are because, maybe people have told you that you're too much, or, you were bullied at some point in your life, or standing out as different has, left you hurt in some way that you're not really in a big rush to take that risk. But you're also feeling incredibly stifled. You're feeling so held back. It's such a painful and terrible thing to be somebody else because that person's getting the accolades. You're left with this niggling feeling of, is it me? Do they like me? Would they like me? Or do they like this character that I've created in order to make them like me? But would they actually like my work? Would they actually be interested in my ideas? Would they actually be interested in what I'm interested in? And you get stuck with these terrible inhibiting thoughts that, if you let them in, they can really paralyze you. And if you try to keep them out, they're going to break through the cracks, and they're going to get in the way of your life and really do a lot to damage your sense of self, your sense of self-esteem and self-worth. So that's where a lot of people are. It's definitely not where you want to be. Chances are, if you're watching this podcast, or, if you're in my audience in general, you're somebody who's found another area of life where you've actually gone through these steps. You've tackled this issue in some other part of life, and you've realized that there are other areas of life that you can apply this to. Maybe you don't have the exact language that I'm going to use today, but hopefully some of the language that I give here will, resonate and click with you as something that you've actually accomplished and done in another part of your life. So, like I said, most people are trapped in the dark side of audience. So how do we get out of the dark side of audience? How do we get out of that feeling of worry about what other people think? Well, what we actually have to do is we have to arm ourselves with tools. So let's come over here. Let's go tools. So we're trapped in audience. We need to arm ourselves with tools. If you think about this in the context of your work, I speak mostly to speakers. That's who I like to work with. I think that they've done a lot of the work that I've done, and they choose to just share what they've learned in a different way. And so I feel very aligned with that. So I'm gonna use speaking as a frame of reference here. Back before, when you were worried about what people thought of you, when you were worried about being too much, you learned tools for how to do things correctly. You learned the tools and rules of what you were doing, so you knew the right way to do them. And over time, as you practiced those tools and rules, you started to become more comfortable with them. You started to understand the contexts where, those rules are made to be broken. And now you're in this place where you have this level of expertise that surpasses the rules themselves. So that now arms you with an expertise. So now it's not you wandering around worried what people think. Now you actually have an area of expertise in this, in your case, speaking, in my case, style. And then we get to audience. So what the problem that tools solves is the problem of, am I doing this right? So instead of looking outwards, instead of looking to the audience to tell you if you're doing things right, you actually learn the real systems and tools. So you know for yourself, I am doing this right. Even if somebody tells me this is wrong, I know enough about this that I can withstand that. No, I know this system, I know these rules, and even if you tell me that I'm doing it wrong, I actually know that I'm doing it right. Okay, so that gives you this level of self-trust, this level of self-worth and self-esteem. Now, subject. It's going to take me a while to write this with this funny little computer pen. Subject. Your subject is your subjective experience. It is the subject that you would like to share with the world. So it has a bit of a double meaning. It's your internal world. It's your subjective experience. And it's the subject that you want to share. So that could include, your hobbies and interests. And that could also include, your story, your skills that you have, that your skills, your knowledge, what you want to share with the world, what you feel put on this earth to gift, what your gift is. This is your subject. It's very much the, who are you? Who are you if we stripped everything else away, if we, pulled away all the judgment of people, like what lights you up, what gets you excited? Who are you and who do you want to be? Who do you aim to be outside of the influences of other people? So we've built a level of trust with our tools, right? We have something to fall back on when someone tells us we're doing something wrong. Now we have created a space where we can actually look at ourselves, where you can look at yourself and ask yourself, who am I? What do I want to be? Outside of impressing people, what do I want to do to impress myself? Am I trying to strive for something that isn't actually natural to me? Maybe there's something truer in me that I'm rejecting because other people have rejected it, but maybe that's my real gift. And, that's really my message and what lights me up and what I want to share with the world. So in subject, we get really, really clear. You get really, really clear on, who you are and what you want to say. And then we come back to audience. Audience. Woohoo. So now that we've gone and we've done the positive versions of tools and subject, now we can return to the positive version of audience, right? We never want to lose the context that we live in, right? Where our goal is not to stop caring about people. Our goal is not to stop caring about what people think. It is to become more discerning about whose opinion we care about, right? Whose opinion is important. The opinions and well-being of your, spouse and children, they do actually hold weight. They are important. And so, there are people that you choose as important in your life, that you designate as important, as people who care about you, as people who are curious about you, and who you trust to guide you in the right way. Now that you can never lose sight of the audience, right? You don't want to be living your whole life questioning whether or not you're doing it right? Like you used to be, right? We've moved here to audience. Now you're questioning, who do I want to affiliate with? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Now the audience is something that you choose. Who do I want to impress? Not, who do I feel like I need to impress? Who do I want to impress? Who do I want to attract? Who do I want in my life? Who don't I want in my life? And now you have the tools to do that. You have a knowledge of yourself so that you can keep that at the core and you're never losing that. And now you can reapproach audience with a much clearer viewpoint where you are not the one chasing. You are not the one playing catch up. You aren't living your life in this sense of perpetual behindness because you have the tools to get ahead of things. You know who you are. And, even if you are behind in an area, you know whether that matters to you or not. And now you know who you are and now who you want to be around, who you want to affiliate with. You are choosing them. You are not trying to force and impress them. And that's just such an incredible mindset shift. This is the transformation that, style really gave to me and that my life experience really gave to me that I really, really want to share with you, that I want to share with people, because I believe that you can use this to get here. And you've probably used this in other parts of your life, right? For you, maybe public speaking or at work, you come in and you're so worried about what your colleagues think, what your peers think, until you start to learn. So you start to learn the tools. And then as you learn the tools, you go, oh, I actually have some kind of opinions on this. I have my way of doing things. I have my way of approaching this. And then you get to think about, well, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to speak to? So you can go through this in all different directions. And that by embracing tools, by going backwards, by starting with audience, which is the last step, which is where we all kind of tend to start, and going back, learning the tools, learning the subject, learning the audience, you get to come out with not only looking the way you want to look, or being the way you want to be in subject, but being able to make that look really good with the tools, being able to make that proficient and effective, and you get to decide who you want to see that and whose feedback you care about. You get to gain back control of who you are and what that means to you. And if that's not power, if that's not standing out, if that's not overcoming rejection, I don't know. You tell me. really appreciate you joining me for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed learning about the tools and subject and audience. I will be speaking more about this. This is going to be a lot more at the center of my future episodes and my process. I want to make this very central. This is very central to the work that I do. If you are curious about the work that I do, go check me out on LinkedIn, Shlomo Hamnick. I have like a red background. You'll find me. It's about standing out and building your personal visual brand. So go check me out there if you want to know a little bit more about how I use this framework to help you. And if you want to check out my past episodes, I think there's a lot of gems there. I'm trying to get a lot more pointed with my messaging. I'm trying to get a lot clearer and directed and niche down with what I'm doing. But I do think that there is a lot of really interesting perspectives in my previous episodes. So, if you like this, you might like that. Definitely go check that out. And yeah, go connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find on my LinkedIn page, really on any of my social medias, I have a quiz that helps you find your archetype that would fall under subject. Actually, that's part of subject is your visual brand archetype. So if you're curious about how to get started on this journey, going and finding your archetype is a really great place to start. I have just given you way too many calls to action. So I would say the main call to action is like this. And if there's someone who might like this, please share it with them. So if you only do one thing, if you enjoyed this and this spoke to you, please like, share, and of course subscribe. I appreciate you spending this time with me, and I will, God willing, see you next week. Take care.